Hello and welcome to this conversation with amazing Nidhi, author of Your Body Already Knows, a book that brings ancient Ayurvedic wisdom into our modern lives in a wonderful, accessible way. This book teaches us how to reconnect with natural rhythms and with our own bodies, something that feels especially valuable today when we are often overloaded with information and disconnected from ourselves. We are so excited about the release of Nidhi's book in Slovenia, and I'm sure our readers will embrace it just as I did. While working on translation, I introduced a few changes into my own life and significantly improved my metabolism, which had slowed down as I entered my 50s. So for this, I'm personally very grateful to you. Even small changes following the principles of agni and meal timing, drinking water at the right moments, and going to bed earlier have brought great benefits to my body and mind. And today I'm especially happy that we are having this conversation on the very first day of autumn, which marks the start of a new cycle and reminds us to adjust our activities and the way we nurture our body, mind, and spirit. Nidhi, welcome to your Slovenian readers.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited for everyone in Slovenia to read the book.
Great. Your book speaks about reconnecting with the body's wisdom. In your experience, what is the most powerful shift that happens when a person truly starts listening to their body?
Uh, Mirella, you become free. You are just a free human being. You lose all fear. You actually stop surviving and you start thriving. I think today we're all living in fear. What if I get sick? What if something happens? We actually have started believing that nature and the world is against us. We've started believing that, oh my God, like we think more things will get us sick than get us better. And we can't trust anybody who's selling us anything. So, to bring the trust back in ourselves is a deeply liberating experience. And overall, you become happier, more fulfilled, and certainly much more healthy.
Mm. Well, many people approach life with the mind as a set of rules and guidelines. Yet your book says that the body already knows. So how can we move from the intelligence of the mind, which constantly analyzes, to the intelligence of the body, which already lives?
Okay, so the first thing I always like to say, which gives everybody hope, right, is this that when we look at animals around us, we believe as humans that we are more intelligent. We always just believe that, oh, I'm more intelligent. And yet animals know how to live. Deer knows that it's plant based, wakes up in the morning, eats grass, grazes in the same plot of land, does not Google what should I eat for my health in the morning. The tiger will wake up only in the evening and eat at night. He does not get carried away because somebody said, wake up in the morning and do yoga. That will not happen. And there are animals that are going to, when there are nursing mammals, right? If they're nursing their young ones, they know exactly what foods to eat. They know the plants to eat, which will increase their milk production. And
Mhm.
if anybody has a dog or a pet, and if you ever go out in the wild and your pet is injured, the pet knows which soil is sulfur rich. They will just smell sulfur rich soil and they will roll their bodies in it. And all animals know that. Worms, which have only two sense organs, know how to drill a hole, know how to live, know what to eat. So, if all other species on the planet know how to eat, know how to live, know how to care for their bodies, how did we forget? And the truth is, it's our mind, it's our intellect that made us forget our instinct. It's
Mhm.
information that disconnected us from our wisdom. Our only hope for living better lives is actually to go back and connect with that instinct. So, the question you asked me, Mirella, is how do we start connecting with that wisdom? And it's a difficult ask because we are so far away from it. We are so colored and conditioned by everything that's out there that we hear, all the marketing information. So I think the first thing we have to do is firstly believe that we have the wisdom.
Mm.
Number two is know that right now we have a whole layer, like we have heaps and heaps of conditioning and information that we need to get past. But what the book offers, right, is three simple tools that will start bringing you back to that body's wisdom. And one of the most, and let's say you're not somebody who's reading the book or who's going to read the book. The one thing that I'm going to say is that we want to start keenly observing the patterns outside in the universe, because the patterns outside in the universe tell you the patterns inside the body. When the sun sets, your body wants to start sleeping and winding down. When the sun is at its peak, when it's noon and it's hot outside and plants do photosynthesis, even plants cannot do photosynthesis unless the sun is out. That's when your body wants to digest its biggest meals. So you just want to be in awe of the patterns of the universe outside. If nothing else, just notice patterns. Even noticing patterns in your own bowel movements, knowing patterns in your own sleep, noticing patterns of your periods, just noticing patterns. If you become what I call a pattern seer, which means you can see patterns, you can also start to predict patterns.
Mm.
And all what makes us living is these rhythms, right? Whether it's the rotation of the earth, the revolution, it's the cellular, it's the vibration of every cell, it's our breath, it's our heartbeat, it's our pulse, it's our blood rushing from our, everything is a rhythm. And all we need to do is get back into rhythm. So start noticing rhythms outside and inside, and then your body will continue to guide you. But if you want a framework, the book does offer a systematic framework to bring you back.
Mm. That's why I love it. I love your book, really. It's so full of this natural wisdom, you know. It's like just we just forget all these things. Universality of Ayurveda originated in India thousands of years ago. Why do you believe its principles are still universal and relevant even in countries like Slovenia, where the climate, diet, and lifestyle are very different? So, how can readers living in the European climate adapt your recommendation, for example, warm meals or early dinners to our four seasons?
Yeah, and that's a great question to ask, right? But I want to just clarify Ayurveda is the science of life. And anywhere on the planet where there is life, the principles of Ayurveda do apply. The prescriptions may not apply. The problem with Ayurveda is that it's become very prescriptive, which means a lot of people who are teaching Ayurveda tell you, oh, you have to eat lentils and you have to eat rice and you have to eat turmeric and you have to eat ginger. And that's not true. Those are prescriptions. But the
Mm.
principle is, for example, waking up with the sun, sleeping with the sun. The principle is that we're all warm-blooded beings with metabolism and cellular activity in our body, which is warm, like our blood is warm. So you need warm meals to support the warm environment. Now, that warm meal could be lentils and rice in India. That warm meal could be a stir fry with rice and black beans in Asia. It could be, whatever the native cuisine of Slovenia is or anywhere in Europe. When you go, you can apply the principles to any place. I feel like it's like saying, oh, because gravity was discovered in one country, like Newton discovered gravity in this country, it's only applied to that country. No, gravity is applied to all of the planet because it is part of nature. Similarly, Ayurvedic principles just understand life. And I have actually seen, Mirella, I have looked at other cultures, right? And I've seen how they ate historically.
Mm.
They may not have called it Ayurveda. I've looked at all the blue zones. They live the same way. underlying that, right? We are so obsessed with saying, oh, what did they eat in Sardinia that they lived so long? And what did they eat in this part of Costa Rica that they lived so long? It's not what they ate. What we are missing is the principles. For example, they all ate warm meals. They all ate heavier at lunch. They all moved their bodies. They all loved their bedtime. So they all have the same principles, but we've become obsessed with prescription. So Ayurveda will give you the principles if you study it right to go back to such a happy life.
And to connect.
So deeply connect with yourself and the world around you.
Mm. One of the key concepts in your book is the inner climate, our internal ecosystem. So, how can we recognize the kind of inner climate you are currently living in?
Yeah, but the whole idea of inner climate is this, right? That just like all species on the planet require a certain climate to thrive, right? For example, you cannot grow tomatoes in Alaska. You cannot because the climate is not correct.
Yes.
And there are certain foods that grow, like, for example, in India. And today I live in New York and I can't grow because everything needs a certain climate to survive, right? There's certain animals that cannot survive. Like you cannot bring penguins to, you know, a really hot place on the planet and say, live now, right? So everybody has their ecosystem. Similarly, inside our body are trillions of microorganisms that we call microbiome. And today we're realizing that these little microbiomes, these little organisms, they control everything. They control our digestive system, our nervous system, our hormones, our sleep. They control so much. And like everything else, they need a certain climate to live. And if the climate is right, they will continue to live, right? Like we have survived our life on our planet for 4.5 billion years. The earth has done its magic. We were single cell organisms, they say 4.5 billion years ago. And we didn't have to bring science in it. We just became from single cell organisms. We became birds and fish and mammals and full blown mammals. And just climate was right. Climate is right, life will thrive. Today, we can see that global warming and climate is being questioned. For the first time, we are questioning life on the planet. People are looking for other planets. So, similarly, there's climate inside our body. That's the first thing I want to tell to our listeners. There is a climate inside our body. And when it's optimum, you don't have to do much. You can chill. You can take a chill pill. Disease won't enter your body. You will heal. Like I know, Mirella, during the pandemic, I just focused on keeping my climate right. I was not the one who masked. I actually traveled a ton. New York didn't, even though New York, we had COVID, we had good COVID, but we were allowed to be out. And I was out, a lot of the time. But as long as the climate is right, you will be fine. So, anyways, that being said, should we talk about what that optimum climate is a little bit before I can tell how it
Yes,
goes?
please. Mhm.
What is that optimum inner climate where life can thrive? That optimum inner climate, and I'm telling everybody who's listening to this, if you cup your hands and you just breathe into your hand, you exhale into your hand, you'll see that what it feels, and it feels warm and it feels moist. That is warm and moist. As human beings, we are warm-blooded, which means our blood is warm and moist. If you are a mother and you've ever nursed a baby, you know that your milk is warm and moist. Our reproductive fluids, semen, they're all warm and moist. That's where life thrives, in warm and moist. Even outside, right? Things will grow really well in a place where the weather is warm and moist. You'll see trees and fruits and plants and all of that. Not hot and humid, warm and moist. And so warm and moist is that place. If even like our people, right? We don't like people to be hot-tempered. We don't like people to be cold. We like warm human beings. And we know what that means. Nobody teaches us. We don't like our rooms very dry. We don't like our rooms very sticky or humid. But we like the right amount of moisturizing. And if it's not, then we actually apply moisturizer on our hands, right? So moist. We don't like our rooms cold. We don't like it hot. 68 degrees, 6 to 70, 72 Fahrenheit, which I think is about 80, 90 degrees in Celsius. But that's how we like our rooms, right? That's just warm and moist. So we gravitate towards warm and moist. I'm just going to take it a little bit further, even emotions, right? Anger is hot.
Mm.
Stress can be hot and dry. Anxiety can be drying. Jealousy is hot again. But if you look at love and you look at gratitude and you look at compassion, they're all so warm and moist. It's so gooey. It's such a great feeling. We talk about fermentation, right? All our cultures have like, oh, you eat some fermented food. The
Mm.
process of fermentation is actually a warm and moist process. So everything in every culture in the world at some level was trying to bring us back to warm and moist. However, in our current lifestyles, most of us have climate change inside. We have affected climates inside. Global warming and inflammation is not very different. And most people have either gone to one of the two extremes, which means they've become overly solar, inflamed hot, and they can notice this in symptoms. And I'm just going to give some of the symptoms that present as these solar symptoms. And they can be like dry, hot eyes. You can have a tender throat. You may have strong reaction to the sun, even some pigmentation. You may have skin rashes, burning indigestion, acidity, a short fuse temper. And you may not have all of them, but you may have a good amount of them. And you may also be one person who consumes a lot of caffeine, which is also hot and dry, or alcohol, which is also hot and dry, and like really work, burnout. Even the feeling, even the word burnout, right? Even the word burnout brings you back to that heat. So we've all had this global warming. I live in New York, and there's massive internal climate, global warming happening with people. But also there's another part of the population which may have gone to the other side, and we see that in the world. People have become, instead of warm and moist and flowing like a river, if you think of a river which is warm and moist, it's just flowing. If the river has become too hot and dry in the summer, it becomes dry, it doesn't flow. Or if it becomes too stagnant or marshy or winter, it's kind of become ice, it doesn't flow. But warm and moist is what flows. And so the other side of the spectrum is people have become sedentary, lazy, they're overeating, addicted to Netflix, not waking up, depressed, withdrawn. And that could lead to another whole set of symptoms. And these inner climates can have nuances, right? We could become overly dry in our bodies, but anytime you deviate, you become either too hot and your body is burning out, you become too dry and you can become hot and dry both. You're too dry, and then you can have anxiety and bloating and gas and dry skin and dry hair. And you don't sleep well because you are not grounded, or you can become stagnant and you can become really cold. So we can fairly assess, right, with a little bit of self-awareness and a little bit of knowledge about this whole idea of inner climate. You can start to understand your symptoms, and you can actually assign a climate to the symptom. And the minute you assign a climate to the symptom, like if you were, Mirella, if you were going to a vacation in a place which was a beach, a hot beach, you would know how to dress. You would not have to Google, right? You wouldn't say, how should I dress on the beach? Should I take a sweater or should I take a swimsuit? You know. The minute you know the climate, you know how to dress for it. Similarly, the minute you know your inner climate, you know how to live for it. You know the food choices. You know how should you exercise. You know everything, right? For example, if somebody is hot and dry and you tell the person, drink the spicy tea, which is really hot and spicy and with full of caffeine, or drink coconut water. Even people don't know intuitively, coconut water is more soothing for somebody who's hot and dry. So we have to start learning about our own inner climate and start moving towards warm and moist. No matter where you are, it's a journey we can all make and come back to the center.
I really love this perspective. You mentioned early burnout. How does Ayurveda understand burnout, and what would be the first step to reconnect with vital life energy?
Yeah, and that's a great question. So Ayurveda does understand burnout, and it understands burnout that your good fluids in the body have been depleted. Because every time your brain is more active and doesn't have time for repair, also now modern science calls it, if you're more in the sympathetic fight or flight mode, sympathetic nervous system is more active, you're more in the fight and flight mode. All the neurotransmitters that are released dry your system, heat your system, dry all your fluids. And that's why if I was staying up working till 1 o'clock and being really busy, my eyes would be dry and my throat would be dry and my mouth will be dry. And then your body is not repairing. There's no moonlight. Like moonlight actually brings the fluids back. And even if you're awake, and even if the moon is outside, but if you're awake and working, internally, you've really created this burnout and your juice is gone. So even if you think of what burnout looks like, and if you think of you've left water on the pot, or you've left milk and you've gone away, you've forgotten about it on the stove, and you come back and all that is evaporated and your pot has burnt. Now that's really what burnout looks like. And it can happen because of excessive use more of the nervous system and physical body going. Every time there is more action than repair, you can reach for a long period of time when you're acting more in your mind and body, but you're not giving time for repair, you come to burnout. But Ayurveda offers a lot of rituals for burnout. And they're very little to do with mind, right? So it's not even therapy. It's not even therapy first. It's actually first grounding through rituals. So oiling is a big part of a ritual, oiling your body. Now, oil has this unique ability to penetrate deep inside your body, detox everything, promote lymphatic drainage, but also really ground and soothe your nervous system. And it has other crazy benefits like regulation of your hormones, but I'm not going to get into that. But also just touching your body promotes the release of oxytocin, which is, again, a happy hormone, a relaxing hormone. So for example, oil massages for yourself, whether somebody else is giving it or you apply the oil on yourself for 10, 15 minutes, is a great practice. But also using your breath is a great practice. And when we're in burnout mode, we're actually taking very short breaths. And our exhales are very, very short. So we're taking rapid inhales. And this is why at the end of a very busy day, somebody would come down, sit, and be like, your body forces an exhale. But what most people don't know is that every inhale allows your body to act. Everything gets oxygenated, your body is on fire. And every exhale allows your body to repair. So inhale is action, exhale is repair. Inhale is doing, exhale is being. Inhale is the sun, exhale is the moon, which means with every breath, we have the chance to repair. So if you practice nasal, it always has to be through the nose, long nasal exhales through your day, and it doesn't have to be loud, gentle, just training your brain. It's called resonance breath. If you practice resonance breath, no matter how busy you are, you're going to be repairing as you go along the day. So using breath systematically is one more tool. Also eating foods that are warm and nourishing and grounding, like if you have rice and you have ghee, or you have a porridge, or you have like a nice brothy soup, and then how you eat it. You want to sit down, you want to be around nature if you can. You want to anyways be around nature to ground, to prevent burnout, because nature actually brings back juices. If you go and spend 2 hours in the jungle and just relax, your eyes will be more moist, your mouth will be more moist. So you want to do those things. It's how you eat as well. And then of course, bedtime is very important. Sleeping late and waking up late actually doesn't help, because if you wake up late, your body internal chemistry has already changed. It's responded to the sun. But if you're still sleeping and it's like 9 o'clock in the morning, you're actually going to produce slimy mucus in your body. But if you sleep early, like maybe 10:30, and you wake up by 6:30, again, your body aligns. Occasionally, you might need to sleep a little bit longer if your body is really exhausted. So between the massage, the breath, the warm grounding foods, spending time in nature, and sleeping accordingly, and in constantly being in wonder of how much is in place. What a beautiful planet, like the sun and the moon and the seasons. I mean, just it's incredible. And that by itself allows you to be in that gratitude, which again is repairing to your body.
Well, I also I'm in love with this perspective of daily cycles, like sun and moon experience. Can you tell us something about this? It's really very natural to understand.
Yeah, yeah. So, Mirella, do you want me to go through the six phases?
Yes,
Is that what
please.
you're talking about? Yeah. So, one of the principles that all philosophers in the world realized is as is the macro, such is the micro. As is the universe, such is the human body, as above, so below, right?
Mm,
And different philosophers said this in different words. So, which means that if I have to understand what's happening in my body, I want to look at what's happening outside.
mm,
We are diurnal mammals, which means we have daytime vision. Without electricity, which is only 100 years old, we really can only see in the sun. Otherwise, we couldn't really see unless we had to light an oil lamp. So, which means that my bodies, and now science understands this, and it's like big work in the modern scientific world, that my body chemistry, my neurotransmitters, or the juices that actually create all the functioning in my body change completely from time to time to time as the sun and the moon change its cycle. So
mm,
let's see what happens. Let's go through these cycles and see what happens through the 6 phases of the day. I'm going to break it down. These 6 phases can be a little bit different in each country depending on the timing. But let's say morning hours of 6 a.m. to 10 a.m., assuming that your sunrise is 6 and your sunset is 6. So between 6 a.m. and 10 a.m., if you walk outside, I'm going to look outside to know what's happening inside, but if you walk outside on the grass, you'll see that the grass is a little wet. It has
mm,
dew. And if you hear the birds chirping in the distance, they're just like waking up. And if you look at the sun is just coming up. Our body is same. It's wet and it's slowly rising. How do I know this? Don't believe me. But if you notice you have people who have nasal congestion, it's a little bit more wet.
mm,
People have eye boogers. If people try to show off in a yoga class, they're not quite as flexible because their joints are a little bit more sluggish during that time of the day. And we are gently rising. Our fire is just beginning to rise. Our digestive juices are just waking up gently. So, this is a great time then to support our fire by exercising, by doing the oil massage, and eventually, when you're ready and you've taken your shower, to eat a small, light breakfast, a warm, warm breakfast. Not the biggest meal. Breakfast is not to be the biggest meal. That's just a 19th century modern fad when we wanted to send our people to the factories and have them working for many hours. But really, your body needs a warm, light breakfast because you want to wake up that fire. If you have anything cold or soggy or smoothie-ish in the morning, it's like already so wet and sluggish. You're putting more sluggish stuff inside. You don't want to do that. Of course, you won't be hungry because you've stopped your fire before it started. Between the hours of 10 a.m. and 2 p.m., when the sun goes to its peak, your body fires up also. All
mm,
collaborative office work happens in this time. But also, your body is the most ready to digest your food. Gastrin is a hunger hormone. Your insulin sensitivity is the highest, which means your body can break down sugar really well. Ghrelin, which is your hunger hormone, is at a really good place to get good food, which
mm,
means you can eat your food and digest it really well. So that is the time when plants do photosynthesis and human beings eat. And if you don't get food, people get hangry because the fire is up, right? Between 2 and 6, right? Right around 3 o'clock, as the sun starts to descend, outside it becomes a little windy. Trees start to move, leaves start to move, it feels a little cooler. Same thing happens in your body, right? We start to get wind in our joints. So people are yawning at 3 o'clock. They're like,
mm,
everybody starts to feel. That is our first signal that our neurotransmitters are winding down for the day. They're changing inside. Chemicals are changing. Most of us go and say, let's just do a cup of coffee so I can extend my day. But
mm,
really, this is a great time to take some deep breaths, maybe drink peppermint tea just for a gentle stimulation, or go out for a little bit 5-10 minutes of fresh air and stretch your body. But if you drink caffeine at that time, it's actually going to fool your body, and it's not the best. It blocks adenosine receptors, which means your body doesn't build sleep pressure and you won't sleep as well. So you wanna, that time between 2 and 6, your body starts to slow down. At 6 o'clock, when the sun is setting, your body is setting too. Everything is changing. We never ate dinner after sunset because earlier we didn't have electricity. People ate a light supper. People ate their soup and stews. So 6 o'clock is the last meal of the day. Whatever you want to indulge in, indulge for lunch. Indulge tomorrow for lunch. But 6 o'clock, small, light dinner is all we need. Soupy, stewy, side of veggies, great. And then 6 o'clock, you want to call it like no more. For digestion stops, plants stop photosynthesis, all diurnal mammals stop their eating cycle. And then after 6 to 10, you want to enjoy the introspective time. You want to let your body repair, dim the lights, play classical music, light a candle, connect with yourself, have a nice conversation with somebody. And then if you're still hungry, then by 9:30, you can drink a warm cup of milk or some tea. And then 10 o'clock, you go to bed, because between 10 and 2, when you're sleeping, magic is happening in our bodies. And today scientists know that as we sleep, your nervous system is cleaned out, which means you have so much. Every day our nervous system is like working so hard, especially these days. So your nervous system repairs, but your metabolism is active at night. Everything in your body that needs to be cleaned up gets cleaned up between 10 and 2 and starts its repair cycle. If you are awake after 10 o'clock, you will be hungry for sure, because your body is taking so much energy and really not doing, it's half doing both the jobs of trying to stay up and then trying to do that. And if you have food in your stomach and you've eaten a really late dinner, you're going to lose that opportunity at night where your body is healing to actually digestion. You have a choice. You can heal between 10 and 2, or you can digest your food between 10 and 2. So you don't want food. Then from 2 to 6 in the middle of the night, most people, Mirella, they'll wake up, a lot of people after a certain age, they'll wake up at 2 that they're suddenly feeling hot, or they want to use the toilet, they want to urinate. That's an indication that the cycle has ended. And so it's like, oh, the cycle has ended, suddenly body temperature has changed, and then you still want to keep sleeping. And between the hours of 2 and 6, now rebuilding happens. Growth hormone surges, prolactin surges. Like you become a mother to your own body. Like you become a baby between 2 and 6. And your body starts to build new cells. What a beautiful cycle, right? Men can wake up a little earlier. Like if men were to wake up at 5 o'clock, they wouldn't be dried out. Women are very juicy. We're juicy beings. And we cannot wake up too early because we would dry our bodies. But 6 o'clock then is a great time to wake up. And naturally, your body has acetylcholine, which will allow you to have a bowel movement at 6 o'clock, allow you for peristalsis. So if you can wake up at 6 o'clock, go to the restroom, have a bowel movement, that means you've got your rhythm down. Your rhythm is how it should be. And you want to just practice this. And the more you practice this, the more your body comes. We know, I just want to say one thing, Marilla. We know that if you see snow, right? If you see snow in the summer, this is a result of global warming. You know that the earth has gone off rhythm. The minute the earth goes off rhythm, it's not like the snow is going to bother anybody for one day. That's okay. But we know that something really, because there's a lack of rhythm, something dangerous is happening. Similarly, when our bodies lose their rhythm, we know there's global warming. But the minute we take it back into rhythm, the climate change in your body also starts to shift and comes back to balance.
Great. I really love this. And I claim it. I have experience with this. I changed some things and it really changed everything. How does the third principle of growth, transformation, and decline help us understand different stages of life, such as adolescence, motherhood, or menopause, for example?
Yeah. So everything has a life cycle, everything. So, and the life cycle has 3 phases. There is a growth phase in which there's a lot of building happening. Things change quickly in size because there's building. So it's the growth phase. Then there's a transformation phase, which is usually led by heat, right? And then there is a decay phase, which is a drier phase. I'm going to start with the example of a fruit, right? Like if you have a fruit tree in your backyard, you'll see that suddenly that fruit, when it starts growing, it has this building phase and it's growing so much. And then it comes to full size. And then when there's enough heat, there's because transformation is always heat led. The one simple rule is if it is not warm, how can it transform? Even to charge your phone, you need electricity. So any transformation needs warmth. But then now the sun is at a good place and the fruit will ripen. It's ripe. But if you don't eat the fruit, it'll fall down. But if you don't pick it up, it's going to start becoming smaller again. It's going to decay and it's going to shrivel because it becomes dry. Same thing happens in the seasons outside, right? Spring is building everything. Suddenly, like here in America, we have, in New York, we have winter. There's no trees, there's no leaves on our trees. And suddenly in spring, which is this building season, wet and juicy, everything will have leaves suddenly. And then summer, you'll see through the summer, yeah, there's flowers and fruits, and then it starts to dry down. Like the third phase, the autumn starts to bring in the third phase, which is again decay, drying. And it's so dry. Autumn is so dry. And it's beautiful, right? I wouldn't have it any other way because every time we let go of the old, we give a chance to the new. Even cells in our body, they grow, they build, they plump up in size. Then their mitochondria, their energy center, becomes active and does all this cell division and all these things. It becomes active, it does the work. And then it becomes, cytoplasm decreases, it becomes small, and then it's kind of, flushed out in its own mechanism, the cell goes. But human beings are like that too. Childhood is a growing phase of our lives. And, any growing phase, whether it's spring or it's juicy, it's very quick. So that's why a baby will eat less food, like a baby will drink only milk, but grow so quickly into a toddler. And then the toddler will eat less food, but will grow so quickly because the body is just building cells. And because we're 80% water, and cytoplasm is part of every cell, which is like the jelly-like substance in every cell, kids are very prone to mucus. And I think understanding that for every mother, that no, your kid is designed to have mucus. So no, your kid does not have weak immunity. Your kid is not getting sick on colds all the time. The kid is designed to have colds more often. But in that case, there are certain foods you can avoid. There's a certain protocol, and I explain some of that in my book. But there's a growing phase for a child. And they're learning, even the nervous system is growing. It's a time where you're picking information. You can learn something in childhood, and in that growing phase, you can keep it. Then comes adolescence. And in adolescence, when puberty, heat hits the body, hormones happen. Suddenly, there's breasts and there is, the body is full size. It's no longer growing that way. And once the body is full size, reproduction can happen. You can transform and you can actually conceive again, which is a hot, warm process, passion, intercourse, even sex is a hot process, warm and moist process. And, then you become capable of reproducing in that transformation phase. It's a warm, juicy phase. And then as you go through it, right, think about it, it's like beginning of summer. And as you move towards the winter to perimenopause, things become drier. Perimenopause and menopause is the autumn of our life. And the body becomes drier. People start to shrink, the spine actually can shrink and you lose your collagen and everything becomes a little bit more depleted. And then we enter decay. And it is such a beautiful process and once you understand this and you understand how to live, you can actually live well through these phases. You know what to do in the autumn of life. You know what to do in the winter of life. You know what to do in the spring and the summer of life. So you want to start understanding this and also embracing it to a certain level. While you help yourself, you also want to be happy about this, right? Just as you wouldn't want cells that don't reproduce in your body, that they're not doing their work, eventually the earth needs to flush us out because we actually spoil the flora and fauna on the planet after a certain age. There is no biological purpose that we serve. So to understand that, but to also understand that this growth, transformation, and decline comes even in our relationships, for example, right? That you meet somebody and there is a potential, like, for example, you meet somebody, romantically, and then the relationship grows and you build enough passion that you transform it and you say, oh, now, let's become partners for life. But then the opportunity is that you can keep building and keep growing, keep transforming. The more you keep building in a relationship, in a partnership, you will actually keep transforming. You don't have to decay. In the intangible aspects of life, you don't have to come to the decay cycle. But if you're feeling like that you are decaying, you've probably stopped building. As long as
Mm.
you keep building, it will keep transforming. Even organizations that stop building, that stop innovating, and they stop transforming, and then they go to decay. Innovation stops. So it's everywhere in life, relationships, friendships. Sometimes I ask myself, like, if a friendship is feeling very stagnant, I'm not building, I'm not doing anything new with that friend, I'm not curious enough, I'm not taking more information. But there's one area I always like to say this: there's one area in life, right, where this rule does not hold true, and where actually there's transformation, there's endless transformation, growth and transformation. And that is a spiritual path. If you go on the spiritual path, right? Yes, you grow, there's a phase of growth, there is transformation, there is growth, there is transformation, there's growth. It's an endless cycle. And eventually you become enlightened and you dissolve. You just
Mm.
dissolve in the oneness of the universe. And there's dissolution, you're dissolved. You one. So that's why there's so much merit in knowing that my physical body has a path which decays, but my spiritual and emotional body has a path where there's endless transformation possible. And therein lies the opportunity of human life.
I feel so much better now. Thank you. In the book, you describe also a 21-day reset program. How does this process help us truly reconnect with the body and life in greater harmony with it?
Yeah. So, in the book, I introduce the three principles, right? Like I introduce in the
Yes.
climb, the circadian rhythms, and the growth, transformation, and decline. And then I want to give a reader a chance to take it step by step by step over 21 days. Instead of saying that do everything, wake up tomorrow morning and reach your destination, that is not possible for us as human beings. So, my idea is that over 21 days, which is the amount of time that it takes your nervous system to actually internalize something for most people, I want you to kind of sit with the three principles for 21 days, but make only one small shift.
Mm.
You don't have to make all the shifts, one small shift every day. So it feels loving and gentle. Without love and gentleness, things can only go so far. If you're hard on yourself, you're overly like, go, 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 you'll burn out quickly. But the more loving and the warm and moist we are with ourselves. So 21 days of this loving warmth towards yourself. 21 days of being in wonder of the cycles and the principles of the universe. And 21 days to give your body a chance day by day by day. Because by the end of 3 weeks, you can start to notice shifts in metabolic cycles. You can start to notice shifts in your sleep, in your bowel movements, in your skin, in your hair, in your moods, in your weight. And if you do this, so I want to give people a chance. While the entire world is asking you to take more drastic approaches, I want to give the world a chance to come back to a basic loving wisdom, which is truly healing.
Mm. Nidhi, can we bust some myths of modern society? Like, do we really need to drink at least 2 liters of water a day to stay hydrated? And is it the breakfast truly the king of meals? And also, are morning smoothies really the best way to start the day for our digestive fire?
Yeah, yeah. And I busted some of these, but I'm going to say it again, right? So I think the first one you asked was, do you need to drink 2 liters of water?
Yeah.
If you notice, people have actually stopped talking about it because now they're scared, right? Science,
Yeah.
modern science will say something for 6 months and then they'll stop saying. Every 6 months it'll change. So now, people were making a very big hype about drinking water, but if you've noticed, people don't talk about it so much anymore.
Thank
Those
God.
right? Because people realize that, oh my God, like this is actually crazy. So Ayurveda is very careful of drinking excess water, much like everything else. We think that, oh, I drink water and all the cells in my body will bloom and hydrate like flowers. And that's not what happens. If you were to dunk your plant with a lot of water, your plant's not going to live. It's going to actually die. You're going to have mold on your plant. You're going to have mold and it's going to be like suffering. It's going to suffer to absorb that water. It's going to be a lot of effort. So the way our water is digested, it goes in our stomach first. If it's a large amount of water, it's going to dilute your warm enzymes that is going to digest your food. So it's going to dilute them. Then it goes to your small intestine. And then from the small intestine, it gets absorbed through osmosis. So it's not as simple as we think, that we drink water and the more water you drink, the harder this process, and it gets flushed out of the body really, really quickly. And then the body also starts to build like slime. Just think about, like, if shower was left in your bathtub and you went away, it would become so sticky. Water has the most bacteria. So you want to drink water sip by sip, just as you would you water your plants, where you just slowly water your plants, sip by sip. More so before 4 p.m., like in the morning, to like from 10 p.m. to 4 p.m., when your body has still its capacity to work. Whenever you're thirsty, warmer the better. We didn't even have refrigeration till about 70, 30, 80 years ago. And we also didn't have chronic disease till about 70, 80 years ago like that. So our body is warm. You want to keep it warm. You don't want your body to have to constantly work to warm itself up. You want to have room temperature, you can have warm water. A lot of Asian cultures, traditional cultures encouraged that, or they encourage some kind of a fermented drink, like a yogurt-based drink, not yogurt by itself, like like an iron in Turkey, and other cultures have it as well, or like a little warm tea. I personally drink tea, and I sit with my thermos and cup all day long, and it's not tea, it's not black tea, it's not green tea. It's actually just herbs in the water. And anyway, so that's the water myth. And I tell people, you try it for yourself and you'll see a big difference in your body. The second myth, you said you want to drink cold smoothies for breakfast.
Yeah.
And then people are like, wow, I had my smoothie and I'm so good. I don't feel hungry till 3 o'clock. Of course, you're not going to be hungry because you've killed your digestive fire. You've turned off your oven with something really cold before it could actually warm up fully. So a cold smoothie in your cold, soggy gut in the morning, which your body has mucus it's trying to get rid of. If you're going to put something cold, it's going to actually make it much heavier to digest in the morning. And the third is breakfast like a king is a 19th century idea, very, very recent. Your body does not have the digestive juices in the morning to digest. Hunger hormone ghrelin has not even risen to a point where you can break it down. Today, scientists are understanding that, like I said, your insulin sensitivity, which means your ability to break down sugars, is the highest between 11 and 1. That your hunger hormone is at its best point between 11 and 1. And your gastrin is one of your biggest digestive juices, and other enzymes are the happiest and most active between 11 to 1. So like you want to do lunch as your biggest meal, breakfast, your body is just waking up. Anyways, there's high sugar when we wake up. You want to give your body some loving time and exercise and oil your body. That's the food for your body. And eat a small breakfast.
Thank you. What advice would you give readers in Europe when it comes to choosing and buying spices that are often imported from far away? How can we ensure that preserve as many of their healing properties as possible? Isn't the choice always fresh, locally grown and organic food, even when it comes to spices?
So when it comes to dried foods and dried grains, they don't always have to be local and organic. Even because spices are so well preserved, even 1,000 years ago, we were trading spices, in ships, because spices can stay, right? They can stay. But this is what I would say. Go back into your own tradition and own culture and see what were the spices your great grandmother was eating. And yes, you can actually do some newer spices. It's okay if you are not just eating cinnamon and bay leaf and you want to introduce cumin, that's fine. But you become friends with your spices. My advice to you is, firstly, a good spice is never spicy. Black pepper and ginger are fine, but red crushed pepper is not a spice, right? A good spice is that doesn't really burn your tongue like crazy. But like cloves and cumin and cinnamon and bay leaf and fennel seeds and coriander seeds, all great spices. but you become friends with the spice. Firstly, see what's in your traditional culture and use those. When you want to introduce new ones, do it very slowly. Smell your spices, see what you like, buy smaller quantities, store it in a dark bottle if you can, or at least keep it in a container. Don't keep it out too much in the sunlight, and fall in love with your spices. Anything your body prepares for what you fall in love with. If you're going to look at food, you're going to start salivating. If you're going to look at something you like, you smell it, your digestive enzymes will get ready. So the better relationship you build with your spices and your foods, your body becomes more ready to digest them. And it's less threatened. In fact, in some places where people have reactions to certain foods, food triggers, just by creating a relationship with that food and loving that food and thinking about it and visualizing that your body is feeling safe with that food. People can actually heal food allergies sometimes. You really want to develop a relationship, especially with your spices if they're new to you. Buy in small quantities and make it yours.
Or we can just listen to our body because it already knows.
It already knows. It already knows. And yes, right now, people may feel like, I don't know. Right now, they're not used to what their body's language is sometimes, right? Because some people will be like, I want to eat 5 bags of chips, and that's what my body wants. That is what that is what your current state of mind wants. Your body will give you what it wants. You can only listen to your body when you're in a completely relaxed, warm, and moist state. When you're not being triggered by anything, you're not agitated, you're not anxious or worried. In any of those states, your body is not warm and moist. And the signals it's giving you are not from a place of balance. But the best, like Newton saw the apple fall when he was so relaxed under a tree. That's when he said, ah. So the more present you are, and the more warm and moist and relaxed you are, the messages you get are real messages.
Okay, I have two more questions. What would be your advice for us in this autumn season we are entering now? Maybe.
Great question. So in the autumn season, your pores, you start sweating less, and the pores begin to start closing of the body, right? And the body starts to kind of work on a mechanism of creating its own heat, thermogenesis, of producing this fluid brown fat, which can become a metabolic fuel through the autumn and winter. And you want to do everything to support that. My suggestion is gradually move to warmer foods. Move to, if you want to have warm apple cider, warm teas, bring in more cinnamon, start cooking your fruits, reduce your salads, no cold beverages at all, bring in some soups, root vegetables, herbs. Give your body a chance to transition into this grounding warm season. If the idea of body oiling has appealed to you, it is a fantastic practice to promote that warmth in your body, that deep healing. Autumn and winter are a great time for your body to repair, because once your body, the pores shut down, and if your body has good brown fat, it's a metabolic fuel. It's a repair fuel. It's like the petrol in your car. So you want to give your body that chance. You also want to get exposure to the winter in small doses. So you don't want to stay inside and heat all day long. But as the weather progressively gets cooler, you want your body to be out, dress warmly, cover your neck. You can wear a beanie, but you want to get exposure to that cooler weather. So your body starts preparing for it very, very gradually. And that also helps with that thermogenesis and brown fat. So warm browning foods, soups, root vegetables, good spices, cooked fruit, avoiding salad, avoiding cold. And that's really all you need.
I love this practice with oil, with oiling your hair and also mouth in the morning, teeth and everything. It's so great. I really love it.
You can oil every part of your body, but let it be a slow dance. If you're following the book guides you how to do it one by one by one. But like I say, always make a relationship. You don't want to marry anybody on day one. You want to
Yeah.
build a relationship. So build a relationship with that oil so that it can stay forever. Those are the long lasting relationships, the ones that are built slowly.
Okay. Okay, so for those who will read your book, what inner journey do you wish for them to experience beyond the practical steps?
Thank you for asking this question because that's the biggest important thing. I want them to reconnect with themselves deeply, to forgive themselves for holding themselves harshly with health principles, to really rebuild that really deep, kind, loving relationship. And through their body and through this journey, become liberated as human beings.
Mm. Nidhi, thank you so much for taking the time to have this conversation and for sharing your precious, really precious knowledge with our Slovenian readers. I truly believe your work will help many people reconnect with their bodies, find inner calm, and bring more harmony into their lives. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. Thank you, Mirella.